What's up, Barding? Cheerios here, and I'm going to give a little talk about One-Eyed Mask, history of it, and what's to come, and what I think the best exotic in the game is. So when One-Eyed Mask first came out, if you shot somebody that was wearing it, you'd be marked. Now, if you were wearing it, that person that would be marked would have a nice little X over them that you could see them through walls. It would last a while, 15-20 seconds, and then if you killed them, you would get increased weapon damage, you would get an instant full health, and you'd start to regen an overshield. I can't remember, but I think it was always an overshield regen. For some reason, I'm thinking you got a full, completely instant 100% overshield on top of health when it first came out. I don't remember. I'm looking at old footage, and it looks like you got instant health, full health, started to regen an overshield. So you got all that. You got increased weapon damage, full health, and started to get an overshield. Now, a lot of people complain about this because it was a very powerful exotic, but it was also a very fun exotic if you were a Titan, and I'll get to that in a second. So people complain about it. They nerfed it. They reduced the tracking on it. They made it to where you don't get instant full health. You start to regen health pretty slowly, and you regen your overshield, I think, a little slower. It tracked for less if I didn't say that already. But from what it seems like, it wasn't enough, I guess. More people still complaining about it. So they're nerfing it again. Here pretty soon. From what I'm reading, they are taking away the overshield completely, but you're still tracked. You're still tracked, and you still get the health regen, and I believe you still get weapon damage. It doesn't say anything about the damage. So you still get those three things: tracking, weapon damage, and health regen. Now, if you asked anybody before, the thing that made One-Eyed Mask strong was the tracking. So losing overshield on One-Eyed Mask, not a big deal, because the tracking was the best thing. And I'm sure a lot of people want the thing gone completely. Now, in my opinion, back when the overshield, or back when the One-Eyed Mask first came out, in its prime, it's more powerful. The exotic was pretty fun. I mean, you can't lie. Using it, it was pretty fun. Regardless if you think it made the game too easy and you took it off because you felt like it was unfair, like, it was still a fun exotic to use. For me, I'm not one that likes nerfs. I prefer buffs. I think if we just keep nerfing and nerfing and nerfing, in the end, we're going to be end up fighting each other with balanced wet pool noodles. And I'd rather fight everybody with balanced strong weapons than balanced wet pool noodles. Like the whole hand cannon change. Hand cannons were pretty powerful, but what they did was they nerfed them pretty good. People complain about that. They nerfed hand cannons pretty good, but then buffed pulses, and then buffed ARs, buffed everything else. I would have rather had them just leave hand cannons alone, buff pulses like they did, buff ARs even more, to make them more even playing ground with hand cannons. That way everyone's a bit happy. People who like pulses and ARs, they're happy because they're strong and they can stand toe-to-toe with hand cannon, but it's people who like hand cannons are still happy because they can still use their hand cannons just the way they were before. But that whole buffing nerfing is a different topic. I'm not going to elaborate on it, so people are still probably going to misconstrue what I'm saying about it, but yeah, that's for a different video or something. My opinion on buffing and nerfing. Like I said, I would have rather seen One-Eyed Mask kind of left the way it was. Maybe after this first nerf, and I would have rather had warlocks and hunters have exotics that were similar, pretty powerful. Give hunters their worm husk back in the day. Worm husk was very powerful. It was good. You can begin to regen whenever you want to. You didn't have to get a kill. But like I say, I'd rather have hunters and warlocks have something similar to One-Eyed Mask. That way everybody would have something powerful. But again, that's probably an unpopular opinion. I'm not elaborating on it. Don't take that as the only thing I say in this video. So One-Eyed Mask, I think, is still going to be a top Titan exotic. Probably still the best Titan exotic. The best Titan exotics are One-Eyed Mask, Dune Marchers, and Synthoceps. Probably in that order. Dune Marchers are a very good, very competitive exotic. And then Synthos are pretty good for a lot of melee scenarios and all that. After that, I don't really categorize all the Titan exotics. But for me, in my opinion, and I've said this before, I have always thought that Ophidian Aspect is probably the best exotic in the game. It is my favorite exotic, and I wish the Titans had something similar. I don't have it on my Warlock yet. I would probably play Warlock a bit more if I had it, because I can't stand the Warlock jump, but what Ophidian Aspect does to your weapons is just, I love it. It makes your weapon handling and just everything so much faster. And if you have Snapshot or Quick Draw or both on a weapon, it just amplifies that. And for me, what I think that you should concentrate on in Destiny and in most games is your gunplay. You're going to be getting more kills with your guns throughout the whole game. I don't know. Here's just a quick percentage that's not factual or anything, but just a guess. You're going to get 80% of the kills in your game with your guns rather than super and melee. and grenades, you're gonna get most of the kills in the games with your gun. So I think what's best is to kind of amplify your guns, you know, make them more efficient, make them better. And Ophidian Aspect does that. What Ophidian Aspect does is it basically increases weapon handling, makes them swap faster or aim faster. It gives you increased weapon reload, and it gives you increased melee range, which is a nice little bonus. The melee range isn't a huge deal, but Warlock melees are a little wonky, so it's kind of nice because it makes them more consistent. I think it's only 1 meter less than Synthos. I tested it before, and it was like 1 meter less. I think Synthos were like 7.5 meter range, and Ophidian Aspects are 6.5. So nice little addition. But just the fact that it just amplifies your gun usage, your gunplay, is just what makes it best. And yeah, you're probably thinking like, well, Snapshot does the same thing. Yeah, but having Snapshot and Ophidian Aspect, it makes it zoom in so freaking fast. It's awesome. I hope I can get this point across. And this is in my opinion what I think this exotic does for you. All right. Say you're in a 1v1 against somebody. You're in a clean 1v1. Let's say that it takes them exactly 3 seconds to kill you. Okay? And you have exactly 3 seconds to kill them. Now, say we don't have on Ophidian Aspects, and let's say it takes 2 seconds for your sniper to fully zoom in. You are left with only 1 second to react. And then let's say your reaction time is 1.5 seconds. That's a total of 3.5 seconds of ADS and reaction time to pull the trigger and shoot, which is longer than 3 seconds, and you're already dead because you took a total of 3.5 seconds to zoom in and shoot when you're supposed to do it in 3. Okay, you put on Ophidian Aspects. Now let's say Ophidian Aspects makes your gun zoom in 1 second. You're now left with 2 full seconds to react, concentrate, and aim, and flick and pull the trigger. And let's say you do that in 1.5 seconds, as before. You're able to zoom in, react, shoot, and kill the enemy in 2.5 seconds, which is faster than 3, faster than them, and you get the kill. That's over-exaggerated numbers, but I think that's what Ophidian Aspect does. You can bring that down to milliseconds. I don't know what the average reaction time of a human is. Let's say 2 milliseconds. So you can bring that down to milliseconds. Let's say it takes, you have 3 milliseconds to kill an enemy. It takes 2 milliseconds for your gun to zoom in. 2 milliseconds for you to react. That's 4 milliseconds. You're dead. Ophidian Aspects cuts your zoom in time to 1 millisecond. Your reaction time is 2 milliseconds. You kill them in 3 milliseconds, which is, you know, what I said the time is to kill them. So that's what I'm thinking that it does. It gives you more time to react because it doesn't make you waste precious milliseconds pulling your gun out, aiming your gun, and looking through your scope. It cuts that in half and gives you more time to actually see and react. Now, I don't really play Warlock because I don't like their jumps. If I had this, like I said, I'd probably play a bit more, but with the upcoming this week at Bungie, what they said about the whole Icarus dash on the Warlock, maybe you'll see me on the Warlock a bit more, especially if I can get these gauntlets. Anyway, Guardians, a quick recap about the video. One-eyed mask, upcoming nerf. I don't think it's gonna be a huge deal because the best thing about one-eyed is tracking, and it's still gonna have tracking. I think it'll still be probably the most used Titan exotic, or the best Titan exotic, really. Dune Marchers is a close second. Dune Marchers is extremely good for Titans. And then Synthos is third. Synthos is pretty good in certain scenarios, and overall an alright Titan exotic. Again, I'm more for buffs rather than nerfs. I would have rather seen other things buffed to compete with the meta rather than nerf the meta. You can still change the meta without changing the meta. I think Ophidian Aspect is the best exotic in the game, especially if you mainly love gunplay, which is what I prefer in any game. And yeah, I think that's it, Guardians. Hope you enjoyed the video on me giving my opinion about things, and I will see you guys in the next one. Stay thick.